Hi everyone, I'm Joanne and thank you for watching this video today. Today I'm going to be talking about the speaking section of the IELTS exam. So make sure to check out the other IELTS speaking preparation videos in this series. Remember, the speaking exam lasts roughly 15 minutes and is split into 3 parts. Today I will be focusing on part 1 of the exam. Today, we are looking at part 1 of the exam. In this section, the examiner introduces themselves and asks you to introduce yourself and confirm your identity. Then, you will have to answer some questions on a familiar topic. This section will last roughly 5 minutes. So, what is lexical resource? Well, lexical resource refers to how much vocabulary a candidate has and how well they can use it. As well as the rules of language at a word level, this criteria considers the communicative functions of speech and the social meaning of speech. In part 1, the examiner asks candidates general questions on some familiar topics, such as home, family, work, studies, and interests. This part of the test focuses on the candidate's ability to communicate opinions and information on everyday topics and common experiences or situations by answering a range of questions. Today, our topic is technology. Let's take a look at some vocabulary relating to technology. Can you complete the phrases by matching the words on the left to the words on the right? Let's start with number 1. A touch. Number 2, a smart. Number 3, an operating. Number 4, an internet service. Number 5, a tablet. Number 6, a net. Number 7, some antivirus. And number 8, social. You can pause the video here to make a note of your answers. Let's take a look at the answers. How many did you get right? So the answers are a touch screen, a smartphone, an operating system, an internet service provider, a tablet PC, a netbook, some antivirus software, and social media. I suggest you make a note of any that you got wrong. Next, let's take a look at an example question and answer. Let's take a look at the first example question. The question is, what item of technology do you use most often? And the answer is, I think the item of technology I use most often is my smartphone. I use it basically all the time. I check my emails in the morning and I surf the internet on the train. I think I use it at least once an hour every day. So that's a solid band 6 answer. As I mentioned, one of the marking criterion is lexical resource, or the candidate's vocabulary and how well they use it. So how do you think we can improve this answer? This is taken from the IELTS website, and it is the marking criteria for a band 7 answer for lexical resource. As you can see, you need to be flexible with your vocabulary and try to use some less common idiomatic vocabulary. But you can make some inappropriate choices at times. Bearing all this in mind, how do you think we could improve the answer? Remember, our question was, what item of technology do you use most often? So, as you can see, I changed I think to I would have to say that, and I also added in usually. So it's important to remember not to memorize your answer, as that will appear unnatural, but it can be helpful to memorize some powerful phrases or words. Also, remember to try to memorize the pronunciation of words and how to use them in a sentence. So let's take a look at another question. Our question is, what is the most important task for you to use it for? The most important task I use it for is surfing the internet. I can research for my assignments and I can check the news. I also use it to call my friends, of course, but I could use any phone for that. So, how do you think we can improve this answer? Remember, the question was, what is the most important task you use it for? As you can see, I changed can to use it to carry out. As it's important to try to use more advanced verb phrases than more common ones. Let's take a look at another example question and model answer. So, the question is, how long have you had it? And the sample answer is, I bought it about 2 years ago, so it's not so new anymore. When I bought it, it was the most up-to-date model. But now there are better ones. So, how do you think we can improve this answer? Let's take a look and see the changes. As you can see, I added in I remember at the start and I changed about to roughly. Remember, if you are choosing more advanced vocabulary, to make sure that it still fits the sentence structure. Now let's take a look at our final question and model answer. So the question is, how would your life change if you didn't have it? And the model answer is, that's a good question. I think I would spend more time in the college library doing internet research. I don't have a PC, so I would have to use the college ones, I guess. Also, I wouldn't call my friends much because there is only one telephone in my home and there are 7 people in my family. Everybody would want to use it. So, how do you think we could improve this answer? Let's take a look and see how I changed the answer. As you can see, I added, it would be less convenient as, and I also changed much to as frequently as I do now. Here are all the questions from today. Remember, they were, what item of technology do you use most often? What's the most important task you use it for? How long have you had it? And finally, how would your life change if you didn't have it? I suggest that you make a note of these questions so you can practice answering them at home. Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video today. I'm Joanne and today I'm going to talk to you about the speaking section of the IELTS exam. The focus of today's video will be part 2 of the IELTS exam. As I said, today the focus of this video will be part 2 of the IELTS exam. But remember to check out the other videos in this series where you will find more information on the exam itself, marking criteria, useful phrases, as well as example questions and answers. As I've mentioned in other videos, the speaking exam lasts roughly 15 minutes and is split into 3 parts, with each part lasting roughly 5 minutes. Part 2, today's focus, is the individual long turn. In this section, you will be given a task card, pen and paper, and 1 minute to prepare and make notes Then you will need to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, after which the examiner may ask you some follow-up questions. Let's look at the marking criteria for fluency and coherence. So, what is fluency and coherence? Well, fluency and coherence refers to how good the candidate is at talking at the right speed and how good they are at connecting their ideas together. The candidate needs to be able to understand and follow the rules of language at a word, sentence, and text level. Here you can see the fluency and coherence marking criteria taken from the IELTS website. In it, you can see that you are allowed to hesitate at times and or self-correct, but you should be able to speak at length without noticeable effort or loss of coherence. Now, today we are talking about part 2, which is the individual long term. The examiner gives the candidate a task card, which asks the candidate to talk about a particular topic, and it includes points to cover in their talk and instructs the candidate to explain one aspect of the topic. Candidates are given 1 minute to prepare their talk and are given a pencil and paper to make notes. The examiner then asks the candidate to talk for 1 to 2 minutes. I recommend drawing on your own experiences when completing part 2 of the exam, rather than trying to make up an answer that will sound good, as it will be easier to speak at length and speak coherently if you are talking about something that you have experienced firsthand. Knowing the meaning of a word is much easier than using it correctly. Let's see if you can select the correct word to restate the topic. In number 1, your options are that's or it's. Number 2, they, it, are, is. Number 3, they, them. Number 4, it, they, is, are. Number 5, this, that. And again in number 5, that or it. As I mentioned before, first is the 1 minute planning time. In this time, I suggest writing 1 or 2 words per bullet point. Then when you are speaking, move your hand down as you cover each point. This will help ensure you cover all points. Let's take another look at the question. Remember, the question is, tell me about an item of technology you would like to have. You should say what it is, what it can be used for, whether you are likely to get it, and explain why you would like to have it. Here you can see what I wrote on my paper. My first bullet point is LED facial mask. The second bullet point is enhancing skin. Then saving money. And finally, fun, good for skin. Remember, you have 1 minute to prepare your notes. So once the 1 minute is up, your 2 minutes begins. You can start by paraphrasing the question. For bullet point 1, for example, I could say, the piece of technology I would like to have is from the beauty industry. I am not sure if you have heard of it. It is an LED facial mask. Many different brands sell them. I am not sure which brand I would like to get. I would move on to the next bullet point and say, the main purpose of this mask is to treat and enhance the condition of your skin. You can set the LED light to different colors. and each colour has its own function. For example, anti-aging through increasing collagen production. I would then move on to bullet point 3, and I would say, I think I am likely to get it at some point in the future. It is obviously not an essential piece of technology and it can be expensive, so I will need to spend some time saving up before I can buy it. I would then finally move on to the last bullet point and say, I would like to have this because I enjoy skincare and beauty products, and I think there are lots of different functions in one product. I have read and watched many reviews, and nearly everyone talks about how great it is and that they love the results. Now that I have gone through all bullet points, I should be able to talk on the topic for 2 minutes. I could also say, I understand that this piece of technology is relatively expensive and not a necessity. However, I personally enjoy skincare and beauty products, and I think it would be a good investment and it would last for a long time. Therefore, I would not spend money going to a beauty salon if I could do treatments at home. Now it's your turn. If you haven't already, please get a pencil and some paper and write 4 bullet points on it. Here's your question. Tell me about your favorite gadget. You should say what it is, when you got it, how often you use it, and explain why you like it. You have 1 minute to prepare. You should write 1 or 2 words per bullet point. When your 1 minute is up, your 2 minutes begins. When you are practicing your answer, don't forget to move your finger down each bullet point to ensure that you cover all of your points. Let's take another look at the question. Remember, the question was, tell me about your favorite gadget. You should say what it is, when you got it, how often you use it, and explain why you like it. So, here we have again the marking criteria for fluency and coherence. When you're finished practicing your answer, remember to check your answer against the marking criteria and think about what you could do to improve your answer next time. Thank you for watching this video today, and your tip of the day is, don't memorize your answers. Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video today. I'm Joanne, and today I'm going to talk about the speaking section of the IELTS exam. Remember to check out the other videos in this series for more help. Today I will be focusing on part 3 of the IELTS exam. Take a look at our previous videos for information on the IELTS speaking exam itself and marking criteria, along with exam tips, useful phrases, as well as example questions and model answers. As I said, in today's video, I'll be talking about part 3 of the speaking exam. Part 3 is the two-way discussion section of the speaking exam, and it lasts roughly about 5 minutes. And in it, the examiner will ask you some questions connected with part 2 of the exam. Today, I will focus on the marking criteria for grammatical range and accuracy. This refers to the candidate's ability to use a range of structures and how well they use them. As well as the rules of language, this criteria considers the communicative functions of speech. Here you can see the marking criteria for a Band 7 answer, taken from the IELTS website. As you can see, you'll need to use a range of complex structures with some flexibility. You can make some errors, but you should frequently produce error-free sentences. Remember to check your answers against the marking criteria once you are finished practicing, and think about what you can do to improve next time. Keeping in mind the grammar and accuracy marking criteria we've just looked at, here's our first sample question for today. Can a technology be inherently good or bad, or is it always neutral? So, what kind of grammar structures can we use in our answer? Remember, the question is, can a technology be inherently good or bad, or is it always neutral? When I read that question, some grammar structures come to mind. For example, adverbs of certainty and comparative adverbs. Here's a model answer with some of those suggested grammar points highlighted. So the question was, can a technology be inherently good or bad, or is it always neutral? And the answer is, in my opinion, technology is definitely neutral. However, some technology could more easily become bad than other types of technology, and therefore, I think people fear and perceive some technology as bad. But in my opinion, it is not inherently bad, despite it having the potential to become bad. Possibly in the future, as technology becomes more advanced and it has the potential to think and change on its own, then it will probably no longer be inherently neutral, but may become either slightly better or go from bad to worse. Now, let's take a look at another question. Our question is, what has been the most important technological advance of the past 50 years? Now, think about what different grammar points come to mind when you see this question. Remember, our question is, what has been the most important technological advance of the past 50 years? So, when I read that question, some grammar structures come to mind. For example, modal verbs, such as might, and adverbials of probability, for example, definitely or certainly. Here's the model answer with the different grammar points highlighted. So, the question was, what has been the most important technological advance of the past 50 years? I would say that the most important technological advancement of the last 50 years would definitely be the internet and the World Wide Web. Access to the internet has fundamentally changed how our societies work. It must have altered communication, business, education, healthcare, and socialization, to name but a few. In my opinion, it is the most important technological advancement because of how it has impacted so many different aspects of society, and how it may not be finished changing societies. It will be interesting to see how it might continue to change the world in the future. Another skill that the examiner is assessing is how well the candidate pronounces the language, as well as the communicative effect of the candidate's pronunciation. There is evaluation of how much strain it causes a listener and how noticeable their accent is, although the accent itself is not a problem. Candidates need to be able to produce the phonological features of speech. Here you can see the marking criteria for a Band 7 answer, taken from the IELTS website. You can see that mispronunciation of individual words or sounds is okay at times, but you must generally be understood throughout the exam. Let's look at our final example question for today's video and focus on pronunciation. Question and the last question for today's video. The question is, what are the biggest technological challenges facing the world today? Here is your sample answer. In my opinion, I would say that the biggest technological challenges facing the world today surround information security, which in turn creates trust issues amongst society. Recent years have seen increases in phishing, attacks, and end-user problems, especially during the pandemic. How to deal with these issues presents a massive challenge for companies. We've got some tricky words in this answer. I recommend breaking those words down and practicing them until you are comfortable saying them. As you can see, I have broken the longer words into their individual syllables. The words were surround, security, amongst, phishing. If any of these words are still hard for you, just make a note of them and repeat them several times at home until it feels more natural. Remember, you can check your pronunciation by Googling the word if you're not sure. Here is our tip of the day. Try to avoid using fillers. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. My fellow Intrepid English teachers and I will be back again soon. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and check out our other videos. You can find loads of useful links in the description below. Let's get started.